Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasure to have in studio with us one of the filmmakers of the new documentary Whose Streets, as we observe the third anniversary of Ferguson and the death of um, Michael Brown, which was a tumultuous time for all of us. Um, we went there several times during the course of that broadcast from Ferguson. Well, now that story is being told in documentary film form, and one of the filmmakers responsible here is with us, Sabaah Folayan. How'd I do? Is that good?
Yeah, that's it.
That's cool. That's cool. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure.
You're not from Ferguson, though, right?
No.
Okay, you're actually from here.
I was born and raised in LA, and I live here in New York.
You live here in New York, and you went to school here in New York too. All right. What motivated you to do this project?
Well, I was a pre-med student. I had taken the MCAT, and I was kind of looking for, is this what I really want to do? So I had started to become interested in public health. And as it relates to urban planning, I went to Ferguson to try to prove that people and police facing off like this was going to have a long-term traumatic effect. And when I got there, it just really wasn't the environment to do that kind of research. So my DP, Lucas Alvarado Ferrar, was with me, and he started rolling. I started asking questions, and it kind of just took off from there.
Now, the film opened Friday, August 11th, all over the country?
Yep.
Okay, so this is, and obviously it's great timing because it's the third anniversary.
Right.
So you've been working on this for a while, haven't you?
Yep.
Because this is original footage from the time after Michael Brown was killed.
Yeah.
There's a clip we want to show. Set this up for us because we focus on a young lady here, right?
Yeah. So the clip you're about to see, you see Brittany Farrell, and she's one of the people who we focus on in this film. And you see her getting her daughter ready for school, and she talks about, why she's involved in this movement, why she brings her daughter to the protests. And I think this scene really embodies all of the different layers that we were trying to get at with this film, showing how people's personal lives are impacted by this movement.
All right, so we'll look at this. Here's a clip, folks, from Whose Streets.
Okay, here's a t-shirt, uniform skirt, long socks. Get dressed. Put some deodorant on. Cover your mouth.
Your mouth.
Cover your mouth.
mouth.
Your mouth. Turn around. So you're gonna come home and you're gonna get 3 pages done. 3 pages of homework done.
No.
I don't want to hear it because yesterday you sat down and you watched TV all morning and didn't lift a finger.
That's me? What?
You didn't lift a finger
What is
to do any page of homework.
I was thinking about it. I ran out of time because I was going to do it after dinner.
Those are called excuses.
How are they called?
Because they are. She was 6 when the movement first started. Day 1, she was with me. There were a lot of questions about why we were out there, and it was my opportunity to educate her on how things have never been right for Black folks in America, and this is just another example of that, and this is what we have to do. I dropped out of school for a whole semester, set my graduation date back 6 months. So many opportunities were lined up. My professional network was large. Soon as something happens and I feel like my community is at war, I'm like, to hell with all of that. None of that matters for me anymore. Fine. I don't want to kiss. Get out. Nope. Get your backpack. Nope. Get out. Love you. Have a good day. 5 words. I have to go do something. Go. I'll come see you today at lunchtime.
Very much.
Enjoy. Have a good day. I want her to think for herself, to resist and participate in democracy. That is your right, and that cannot be taken away from you.
Renewed anxiety after Ferguson police announced the name of the officer involved in the shooting death of teenager Michael Brown.
The
officer that was
Sabaah Folayan with us, just a glimpse of the movie Who Streets. We want everyone to see it. So you make the film. There are things you obviously want us to get from the film. So let me tell you what I got, and tell me if I'm right about the message you were sending. So you live in New York. We live in New York. 8 million people. Things happen in New York every day. Because it's so big, you can miss it or even check out. Ferguson was small. So Brittany and even her 6-year-old couldn't just ignore it and check out. That's how big this was in this little small place. Did I get it?
Yeah, I think that is accurate. Ferguson is a small municipality about 6 miles wide, and it's really interesting how it kind of became a symbol for everything that was going on. But this really covered the entire city of St. Louis. St. Louis is divided into 91 of these tiny municipalities.
Yeah, most certainly. So was Brittany an activist before Michael Brown was killed?
I think Brittany was someone who was moving through the world with a constant awareness of, what these hierarchies are, and I think doing things in her life to try to counteract it, and raising her daughter in a way that she would be prepared to resist at least the psychological elements of this. But I think this moment really activated her, like a lot of people.
Yeah, we saw her bookshelf. So there was a lot of, she didn't just read all that the day after Michael Brown was killed. I say, yeah, sister's clearly conscious. But it did create some new activists, didn't it? Woke some people up, didn't it?
Absolutely. A lot of people I think have been lulled into a false sense of security that this can't happen anymore, this doesn't happen anymore, and thinking that we're dealing with historical inequality and we just need to get into the system. I think a lot of the respectability politics that people were holding on to melted away when they saw what the police were willing to do to unarmed protesters.
Did you discover the film Who Streets, folks, with Sabaah Folayan? Did you discover anything new or uncover anything new that we didn't already know about the case and the whole situation?
It's interesting because once I started getting involved in telling the story, I kind of lost track of what the surface level narrative was. So it's been really rewarding as people see the film and they're telling me I had no idea. Because that was, the goal. But after a certain point, I was really deep into the situation and seeing everything. But I just don't think people fully understand, and this is something that's happened in protests throughout history, the way that the police are actually the ones who escalate the situation. The police don't come in a position of just responding. When the police arrive, the stakes raised just a little bit more. And that was something that every time I saw it happen, it was just so shocking to me. Like, it's almost as if they would have just left people alone, that this would have been a much smaller moment.
For example, all the riot gear. I mean, that's when we saw police militarization on clear display, and it was like clockwork every night. I was there. DeGregory and Martin Luther King III and I arrived the same night. And Martin asked me, he said, Mark, don't they know that if they announce where they're going to be at a certain place in a certain time and that full riot gear, those who want to challenge that are going to be there? The curfew, the riot gear, I mean, that in and of itself was inciting, INCITING, right? Would you not agree?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it felt like, it was very unclear what the motivations of the public officials were, because it did feel like they were doing things that would then allow them to justify further brutalization of people. And there was also this thing where, people would protest all day, and then there would be a small group of people who would stay into the night. And it was like, after that last news van drives away, that's when the gloves come off. So there was this very insidious relationship between the local police and the people who were coming out there every day.
We all were out there because we knew it was bigger than Michael Brown. But the police got that too. That's why they came after everyone. So everybody ended up being brutalized. The community was brutalized, not just Michael Brown being assassinated. The community was brutalized too, wasn't it?
Absolutely. That was really, I think, what took this up in scale, because not only had this atrocity, what was essentially a lynching, happened in front of people, and they see his body sitting in the street for 4.5 hours, but then to be told that they can't even be out on their own front yard where this happened, to be told they can't even gather and mourn,
Right.
It was insult to injury, and I think it was just more than people could take.
Sabaah, where do you think things are in Ferguson today, 3 years later?
Yeah, that's really interesting. You know, I think the community of Ferguson still does deal with, and the St. Louis community still is dealing with a lot of trauma, because there was not justice brought. Not for Mike Brown, and not for the people who came out and, you know, had their rights denied from them. And so still dealing with the emotional repercussions of that, still dealing with a public administration that is not interested in what they're interested in. I think the change for the positive that has happened is programs like Books and Breakfast, and, you know, people like Brittany and Alexis and others, and Kayla, who continue to do this work. Just a couple weekends ago, Kayla helped to bail out a bunch of people from the workhouse. It was like 107 degrees, and people are in there suffering. And so that community of protest and resistance that came out of that and kind of solidified, I think, is really, really beautiful. But I think that on the other side, the public officials and the administration there still has a really, really long way to go.
Yeah, like all these locales. I know that's just one part I got from the movie, just to focus on Brittany. But overall, what do you really want people to get from Who Streets?
I want people who experience this, either, you know, from protests and police violence to everyday police encounters, you know, to brown communities dealing with immigration issues. I want people to see this and know that their version of events is real, that somebody else sees it too, that they're not crazy, that their pain is valid.
Right.
And, you know, for people who maybe can never understand what this is like, at minimum, I want them to question what they see on the news and what they hear. I want them to question the information that is easily accessible to them, and understand that aside from what's happening in the street, there is a lot of misinformation happening on the intellectual level. And if you're buying into it, you know, you may miss the opportunity to be a part of a moment like this, or to be on the right side of history. So I hope people really approach their media with some skepticism.
Sabaah Folayan with us. So I have to ask this: in this genre of documentaries and independent films, how you're in theaters now, but how else does that work? Does the film gets reviewed or submitted to different committees and critics, right? Isn't that the way? Where is that right now? Where are we in that process?
So we premiered at Sundance in January,
Right, okay.
and that's when we connected with Magnolia Pictures. So they bought the film for North American distribution, and they've just really done an incredible job of getting this film in front of people like yourself, amazing, you know, people in the media who are interested in getting this version of the story out. It's going to be nationwide. We've had amazing press in the New York Times and Hollywood Reporter, Variety, The Guardian has covered it. So for the last 8 months, we've really been traveling the country, bringing it to festivals and sharing it with people who can review it. And this theatrical run is about making sure this gets talked about on a mainstream level, at the same level that the misinformation got talked about. And we'll continue to use it as an educational tool to work with teachers and local communities and organizers as well.
Outstanding. Very, very proud to hear that, and proud of you. What's next for you?
I'm going to continue telling stories. I am not going to med school anytime soon. I'm really happy that I was able to find something.
So the plan was to go to med school?
Yeah.
So you're still going to try to do that at some point?
No, I mean, I don't know. You know, I don't know, but not anytime soon for sure.
Wow. You heavy. She gonna be a doctor, y'all, but she's taking a break from learning to be a doctor to make movies.
Maybe we'll see. I'm just keeping my options open. Like, I don't like to hedge my bets.
Yeah, but just the fact that that's even on the table. How many people are filmmakers postponing maybe being a doctor? I mean, that's heavy.
I think you'd be surprised. You know, people don't understand, like, scientists are very creative people, especially I think people that you meet in the field of biology. Like, we're people who are really interested in how do people tick, how do people work, and I think there's some common entry points to that work.
You know, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Congratulations to you.
Thank
We'll
you
look
so much.
forward to a more is there another film already in pipeline?
I'm working on a narrative project now.
Okay. About
It's a little tender, but it's about this Caribbean woman who led resistance in the Caribbean, held off the British for decades, and started the seeds of a larger resistance movement.
Oh yeah, I'm about all that too. So come back with that one.
Will do.
Okay, that'll be great. Sabaah Folayan with the beautiful name, folks. Check out Whose Streets. We have to support our films in the theaters. We want you to go see it. Of course, the great thing about this and the support it's getting, now, we can be prolific with film. At some point, I'm sure we'll see it, hopefully on a network or something like that, because I think we got to get to that point as well. And it's worthy of that. So check it out. We all remember where we were, and what we were doing 3 years ago, and just thinking about it makes me a little bit emotional, because that was a lot. That was a lot. And to bear witness that I'm thinking about this, Sister Brittany, I took my son with me to Ferguson, and he was just 12 years old at the time. And we have to do something about all this. And you use the word lynching. That's exactly what it is. Some folk don't get that. They're still in denial about that. And someone the other day was telling me they were offended because we've been standing up for Colin Kaepernick, and somebody said, well, I don't support Colin Kaepernick because he tweeted a picture of the slave patrol badge next to a police badge, and that's not the same. I said, well, it is, because that's why he put the two pictures together.
That's the point.
It looks the same. The badge for the slave patrol looks like the badge that the police wear today, and that's where the police come from. And so don't be fooled. Of course, there are good police who fight crime. They're criminals. People break laws and they need to be dealt with, but there's still an element and a culture within policing that targets us. And so I'm so glad you made this film, because this needs to be documented. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sabaah Folayan, Whose Streets. Check it out everywhere. Website too.
WhoStreetsFilm.com.
WhoStreetsFilm.com. Hashtag on social media, Whose Streets, all of that. You on social media?
Yes.
Under Whose Streets, so you're not?
At Sabaah Folayan.
Sabaah Folayan. We want to spell that. Y'all pronounce that name too, because it's beautiful African name and Arabic name. SABAAH FOLAYAN.
That's it.
Got it. All right. Wonderful. Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
All right.